Italy used to be known for their world-class strikers, and Roberto Baggio sits comfortably somewhere at the top of that list. His story is a very inspirational one, and we'll be looking at it today. Was he really that good? Or is he just another overrated old-school player? Stick around till the end of the video to find out. Roberto Baggio was a technically gifted and creative playmaker. He was also a set-piece specialist. He's widely recognised as one of the greatest players of all time, famed for his curling free kicks, dribbling ability and goal scoring. He was named in the FIFA World Cup Dream Team in 2002, after finishing 4th in the FIFA Player of the Century internet poll in 1999. He won the Ballon d'Or and was named FIFA World Player of the Year in 1993. Pelé named him in the FIFA 100, a ranking of the world's finest living players in 2004. Roberto Baggio is regarded as one of the greatest players in Italian football history. Baggio was always known to come back stronger, no matter what life threw at him. He had a catastrophic injury at the age of 18 that threatened to end his career before it even began. Baggio, however, beat all the odds, persevered in the face of adversity, and went on to become one of the greatest footballers of all time. Roberto Baggio was allergic to painkillers, so that meant that he felt every one of the 220 internal stitches used to reattach the ligaments in his right knee, and it appeared as if his football career, which had only just begun, was already over. Baggio's first significant knee injury occurred while he was only 18 years old. He just agreed to join Fiorentina from his local club Vicenza in Serie B in 1985, but he was told that he'd never play again. It would be the first time he'd be written off, but it wouldn't be the last. He suffered a relapse shortly into his Fiorentina career. The Viola had honoured the agreement to send him to Florence despite the awful injury, and would require another operation after defying doctors to return to the game within 18 months. Because of this injury, he made only 5 Serie A appearances in his first 2 seasons at the club. The early years in Fiorentina were difficult since they were plagued by injuries. The youngster's incredible enthusiasm had vanished, and he was unable to play any games for Fiorentina in his debut season. After recovering from his injuries in 1986, he began seeing game action in the second season, but only for a short time. He had to have 220 stitches in his knee after yet another injury. Just when everyone thought Baggio had healed from a fatal injury, life throws him another curveball. If it had been any other player, they would have given up on football, but Baggio was built differently. Baggio bounced back in 1987, scoring an equaliser to prevent Fiorentina from being relegated. The following season was his long-awaited breakthrough. He was the 3rd highest scorer in the league with 15 goals, earning Fiorentina a place in the UEFA Cup. As a result, his fans flocked to him in droves. He'd finally matured into the player he'd always wanted to be. Baggio scored 17 goals for Fiorentina in his last season there, and he was the league's 2nd highest goalscorer that season. In 1990, he finished 8th in the Ballon d'Or race. Roberto Baggio undoubtedly left a lasting impression on Fiorentina by assisting the team's success in domestic tournaments. Despite the fact that he failed to win any trophies for the club, he became a club legend for many years to come. When Roberto Baggio was 16, Juventus tried to sign him, but Fiorentina beat them to it. So Juventus tried again in 1990, and this time succeeded. They paid £8 million for him, a world record transfer fee at that time. Now, because of his prominence in Fiorentina, fans started riots when he left for a rival team. Baggio was a Juventus player for the bulk of his career. With Juventus, he won the Serie A and Coppa Italia titles in 1994-95. While playing for Juventus, Baggio made his 100th Serie A appearance. Baggio began to make an impact on the Juventus team as early as his 2nd season. Baggio's passes and plays were the centre of Juventus' entire game, and the crowd quickly realised how good he was. Baggio was named captain of the team in the 1992-93 season after a successful 2nd season. Baggio set an all-time high with 39 goals for Juventus in all competitions, which helped him win the Ballon d'Or, European Footballer of the Year, and FIFA World Player of the Year. But guess what? He was still the league's 2nd highest goalscorer, so he couldn't win the Capo Cannoniere award yet again. Baggio's final season at Juventus was in 1994-95. He was out for the majority of the season due to another knee injury, but he still contributed significantly in the second half. Roberto Baggio scored 115 goals for Juventus in all. It was almost as if he was pushed out of the club, as his exit was not pleasant. Baggio's wage was cut in half because the club wanted Del Piero to play instead of him. Despite the fact that his departure from Juventus was unjustified, fans still regard him as one of the best captains and leaders the club has ever had. Following his time with Juventus, he joined AC Milan. Baggio missed most of his debut season with AC Milan due to yet another injury. Baggio's solitary highlight of the season came in a title-deciding match against his previous team, Fiorentina, when he scored a penalty. AC Milan won the Serie A title in 1995-96 without the assistance of Roberto Baggio. Even though he was fit to play, the coaches didn't believe he was the same explosive player and kept him on the bench for the majority of his second season. Baggio played at AC Milan for 2 seasons, scoring only 19 goals due to his limited playing time. Then he left for Bologna. Baggio's time in Bologna was a period of redemption for him. He wanted to show the world that he still had a lot of fight left in him, to prove his old coaches and football critics wrong, and he did just that. He was recruited to Bologna to keep them from being relegated, but he greatly exceeded their expectations. Due to his record-breaking 22 goals in that season, they finished 8th. The player had an incredible year, and we're sure the members of AC Milan were kicking themselves for letting him go too early. The only thing that was disappointing about Roberto Baggio that season was the fact that he had shaved his famous ponytail. After that, he joined Inter Milan. Sadly, Roberto Baggio was wounded again in his first season. After his incredible season the previous year, he was unable to reach the heights that were anticipated of him. Inter Milan as a whole also had a poor season in 1998-99, finishing 8th. Inter hired his previous manager from Juventus in his second season, and due to their personal feud, he didn't give Baggio any playing time in his original position. In the limited game time he got, Roberto Baggio scored 17 goals. Inter Milan was his favourite team as a kid, and it's a shame he didn't get the chance to play a lot of games for them. Baggio was often overshadowed by Alessandro Del Piero and Diego Maradona, but many consider him to be far superior to both. Baggio was injured for significant periods of time throughout his career, and he later admitted he was only fully fit for 3 or 4 games a season. Yet he never stopped playing football as a result of it. Despite his numerous accomplishments, he is and always will be remembered for a failed penalty kick that cost Italy the 1994 World Cup final. Baggio was a player who could play in a variety of positions. He used to mostly play as a second striker, a position created specifically for him due to his all-round passing and shooting ability. Baggio possessed incredible creativity, vision, the ability to read games and create chances, as well as finishing and crossing skills. He was practically the perfect player a team could ask for. For his signature haircut and affinity for the Buddhist way of life, supporters nicknamed him the Divine Ponytail. Baggio remarked that Buddhism completely changed his outlook on life and greatly aided him in coping with grief and adversity. His career was so fascinating and motivating that he even had a Netflix documentary dedicated to him. Baggio was also the cornerstone of the national team, edging out Gianfranco Zola, Roberto Mancini, and Beppe Signori to earn a starting spot in Arrigo Sacchi's lineup. To be honest, it was more of a marriage of convenience between the two, with Sacchi recognizing the greatness of a player who, although not being suited to his customary pressing approach, he just couldn't afford to lose. After sneaking into the last 16 on goal difference from a weak group, the Divine Ponytail finally sprang to life against Nigeria in the last 16, scoring a late equaliser and then penalty in extra time to put Italy through. Despite being outplayed for much of the quarter-final against Spain, it was that guy who won the game late on, going one-on-one with goalkeeper Andoni Zubizarreta to send Italy to the semi-finals. Against the unexpected package, Baggio was on a higher plane for the first half hour of the game against Bulgaria, scoring twice to help Italy advance, but there was a sting in the tail when he suffered an injury that limited his impact in a turgid but absorbing World Cup final against Brazil, and the other great player of the tournament, Romario. Of course, the drama came in the penalty shootout, when Baggio missed the spot kick which handed Brazil their first World Cup in 24 years. The image of Baggio with his hands on his hips and his head bowed became the trademark image of the player's career. The number of times he was written off by detractors seems almost ridiculous for a player whose successes include winning the Ballon d'Or in 1993. He later auctioned his Ballon d'Or off to raise money for Italian flood victims in 1994. The irony of this story is that a man who adopted a religion that does not worship gods became a god to millions of fans all over the world, and he still remains so today. So, what do you think? Was Roberto Baggio really that good? Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Also, make sure to watch this video in the link, and if you like our content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications. On the screen now should be another good video worth watching, so click on that video and we will see you in the next one.